we are dealing with something that I think that is very, very important, and the importance of it cannot be overlooked, and that's the science of masculinity and femininity. What are you talking about when you start talking about that? Well, everything in this sphere in which we live in the earth operates under masculinity and femininity. Everything, especially us. Actually, we're the only ones that operate actually by femininity and masculinity, but everything else operates under the guise of feminine and masculine, binary. So, what are we talking about? When it comes to this idea of femininity and masculinity, many fail at the different to see the different assertions and the biases and the agenda a lot of these intended sciences have, who want to control the narrative and to promote ideologies against cultural and social equilibrium. Some seek to stand against the universal energy, principles, and law that provide and establish balance in gender roles. They have an ulterior motive. Their aim is to promote and to an agenda of chaos and anarchy. And see, that's what we need to challenge such ideas. So some people may not get like what I'm going to say. That's not my purpose. I'm not here to for you to like or dislike. Okay. So, we got to challenge these ideas. We got to challenge these far-fetched ideas. And some of the things that I may say may seem far-fetched. And you may have to challenge them. That's fine. We can do that. But the bottom line is someone needs to be able to be willing to take the backlash by standing up and standing for masculinity, because this is the masculinity man cave. And so we're going to stand up for masculinity in this space. So the question is, why is the science of masculinity and femininity important? Well, look around us. Look at the problems that we're having in our community, culture, and clan. Look at the gender confusion, the gender resistance, and everything else that goes along with it. We need clarification and understanding. Now, first thing we need to understand is that masculinity, guys, masculine is converted to masculinity when it enters into this sphere. Now, the science of masculinity and femininity is the explanation of how this conversion happens and why. So we got to properly understand the science of masculinity and femininity, because what it does, it will return to us the necessary equilibrium and balance in our community, culture, and clan that we are lacking right now. Because people don't understand what they're supposed to be and do. Okay? So we want to show the importance of each to each other, and how we need one another. We need each other. But we need each other in the way that the universe is planned, not in our own mind. The universe has a plan, an intent, an idea. And it comes in the way of masculine and feminine and enters into this sphere in way of masculinity and femininity, or what I call the science of masculinity. So that's what we want to look at, the science of masculinity. What makes you a boy? What makes you a boy is the question. Everything on earth has chemical compound structure. Everything. Okay. It is the structure that gives each thing an identification separate from everything on the planet. It gives it its own thumbprint, if you would. Everything has its own thumbprint, means of identifying itself separate from everything else, a unique thumbprint within the universe. Nothing like it. Everything has it, including us as individuals. And so does masculinity have a thumbprint, and femininity has a thumbprint. And that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about that fingerprint, that chemical compound structure that calls masculinity the science of masculinity. Now, I know some folks will have issue, but I'm not talking to you. Keep flipping, go to another station if you would, or you can listen. You have a choice. The chemical structure of testosterone, which is the very element or compound of masculinity, it has two elements. Okay, it actually has three elements that we want to talk about. And some people call these elements hormones. They can be hormones, or there's a hormone or a regulatory a hormone, which is a regulatory substance that produces in an organ or organism and transports the tissue fluids such as blood or sap to stimulate specific cell or tissue into action. That's what a hormone is, and that's what we're doing. We're putting hormones in people to hopefully become something that they're not. A hormone is a synthetic substance with an effect similar to that of an animal or a plant hormone. So we're taking from one plant or one and trying to put it in another. But the dangers of doing that are insurmountable. And a lot of folks don't want to talk about the dangers of this issue of hormone replacement. Hormones, a person's sex hormones as held to influence behavior and or mood. Your mood or your sexual behavior is affected by these hormones. And so, but what we've got to understand is what is this testosterone? What is this compound in and of itself? Before you start injecting it, what is it? What is this hormone? Well, this hormone is C19H28O2. Now, what is it? It is a carbon. The C19 is carbon, and carbon is basic to all organic life, all organic life. It's the simplest organic molecular or molecule that consists of carbon. The first thing that we've got to understand is this: carbon is the first part of this compound structure for testosterone or masculinity. Okay, this is generated by the universe. It's not to be generated by man-made, but they're trying to do it. Carbon is the first element. Carbon is the basic or the basis for organic chemistry as it occurs in all living organisms. It's the simplest organic, it's the simplest organic molecules consist of carbon chemically bond to hydrogen. So it will automatically bond to hydrogen. Many other common organisms also combine with carbon, like oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Now, carbon is a non-metal that can bond with itself and many other chemicals, and then many other, not only chemicals, but many other elements, and form over 10 million compounds. 10 million. Because of it, it forms more compounds than any other element on the planet. It is sometimes called the king of the elements. And that's a pretty hefty title to have, the king of the elements. Even the king of the elements has a masculine tint to it, not a feminine. Okay, elemental carbon can take the form of one of the hardest substances, like a diamond, or one of the softest elements, like graphite. So it is pliable. It's pliable. It can go from the hardest to the soft, and that's what's incredibly important about carbon. It's diversity. It's in you. It's in your testosterone. C19. Okay. And then it also has H28, hydrogen. Hydrogen. Now, hydrogen is the most abundant element on the planet. There's nothing like hydrogen. And it's important to understand the role that hydrogen plays in your life, gentlemen, is important. Hydrogen is an alternative fuel that has very high energy content by weight. By weight. The more weight, the more high energy. You feel me? Okay. Hydrogen fuels cells so that they can be used to power several applications within the body. Hydrogen fuels cells, and it fuels them in a way that clears the way to produce power. Hydrogen clears the way so power can be produced. Hydrogen fuels cells like cars, are very similar to traditional gasoline that powered cars. So hydrogen fuels us like gasoline would fuel a car. It plays a very important role. Hydrogen plays a very important role. So much that there's 28 in testosterone. 28 hydrogens. And then oxygen. Okay? Oxygen. See, because it's C19, H28O2. This is the formula, the science of masculinity. Oxygen is next. O2. Oxygen helps organisms grow, reproduce, and turn food into energy. Humans get the oxygen they need by breathing through the nose and out of the mouth. Oxygen gives our cells the ability to break down food in order that we can get energy from it. And it helps us to survive, right? So it's important to understand your testosterone is built on that chemical compound structure. That defines the science of your masculinity. That is the science of your masculinity. Any one of those compounds change in any way, it will no longer be testosterone. It becomes something else. Molecular formulas or molecular notation is what I was just talking about. C19, H28O2. That's the formula for testosterone. Now, let me define what testosterone is. Testosterone is the primary sex hormone and anabolic steroid in males. Okay? It's a steroid that we make in ourselves. In humans, testosterone plays a key role in the development of boys to males and males to men. It also plays an important role in the male reproductive tissues, such as the testes, and the prostate, as well as it also promoting several sexual characteristics such as increased muscle and bone mass and the growth of body hair. All these are the kind of what, and they serve a purpose. They serve a purpose in you being able to lift and to endure and to endure cold weather and all these kinds of things. So it's important. Now, listen, the molecular structure for estrogen, which is the science for femininity, is C18H24O2. It's the development and the maintenance of female characteristics of the body. This is the formula. This is the science. Such hormones are also produced artificially. So they say. So they say. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But they say that it's used in oral contraceptives or to treat menopausal or menstrual disorders. I don't know. I'm not a girl. So that would be something but we're here to talk about the masculinity. But can you see the difference in the structure? The structure is different. It definitely is different. Testosterone has one more carbon and four more hydrogens than estrogen. I'll say it again. Testosterone has one more carbon and four more hydrogens than estrogen. That's important to note. So there's a difference between these two formulas, these two compounds, these two structures, right? There's a difference. And it's important to understand what the differences are. So we're going to look at it. A carbon, we already identified what a carbon is, but it's one more. There's one more carbon than there is in estrogen. Now, that's important to understand. And there's four more hydrogens than there are in estrogen, or in estrogen. In numerology, the numbers 1 and 4 are very, very important. The number 1 in numerology, it means primary, it means independent, it means beginning. One, that one makes a difference. It makes it primary. See, one excludes all differences, for there is no second with which it can be harmonized or conflicted. It is primary. It is primary. It's important to understand that one carbon is very, very important. It's very important. Now, also the four. Four in numerology, in the biblical narrative, it means the Creator's creative works. It always refers to creativity. It represents material completeness. The fourth day of creation in the biblical narrative saw material completion of creation. That's why the number 4 is very, very important, because it speaks to material completion. That 4, the difference between that one and the 4 hydrogens is the difference of completion. Now, you can even look at the difference between these two formulas in a formula of itself. CH4, or 1 carbon and 4 hydrogens. CH4. And look at that as a compound in and of itself. So what is CH4? You might ask. Well, interesting question. CH4 is the chemical formula for methane. It's the chemical formula for methane. The C stands for, again, the element carbon. And the H stands for the element hydrogen. You have one carbon and four hydrogens, right? The four indicates that there are four hydrogens, and these hydrogen atoms there are four hydrogen atoms for every one carbon atom. And CH4 is known again as methane, and that's a gas, right? That's why y'all gassy, fellas. That's why you're gassy. But I'm going to share some things, and I say it kiddingly, but I'm serious. That's why the gassiness or the methane is very important. Let me define for you what methane is first, because it's important that we understand that. Methane, CH4, is a colorless, odorless, not always odorless, and flammable gas. I'm sorry. Uh, it is a compound of carbon and hydrogen. It also has uh, a potent greenhouse gas effect, meaning that it affects climate change by, and see, you have within you the ability to change the climate. Okay, it's built in you and it does that by contributing to the increased warming, according to the U.S. Uh, it, uh, Environmental Protection Agency. So, but from a more chemicals perspective, what I'm saying is that inside of you resides the ability to change the environment. You have the ability to change the environment. It's built in you. This methane that's built in you. Now let's look at some things. Now let's look at some advantages to this gas methane and look at it from a different perspective. First of all, methane fuels. So you have the ability to fuel. You have the ability inside of you to fuel, to energize, to activate, right? That's inside of you, gentlemen. It's in your testosterone. It's in your masculinity. Your masculinity has the ability to initiate. Okay, it starts, and not only initiates, it ignites. That's what's inside of you. Now I know we looked at it aside in line in line of being a gas, but actually methane is a masculine functioning compound in the way that it operates, in the way that it functions. It's masculine. It initiates. It ignites. It fuels. Those are all masculine concepts, and this comes with you. It comes with you. That's who you are. That is the science of masculinity. So how do we use methane? How do we use it? Well, it is used in automobiles, ovens, and water heaters as fuel. Okay, we already talked about some of the ways that we use it as fuel. It's also used to generate electricity. This is what's in you have the ability inside of you to ignite. You have electricity inside of you. You have power inside of you. It's also used as rocket fuel in its reformed liquid form, or I should say refined liquid form. So this fuel inside of you can ignite rockets. You to the stars. You are to go high. High where? High in your purpose, high in what you're meant to do. High. It's in you. The ability to ascend is in you. It's in the science of your masculinity. It's also commonly used in this methane is used in fertilizer. It causes things to grow. That's what you do. It's inside of you to cause things to grow, right? That's what your seed does. Cause things to grow. All right. But anyway, the science, the science of masculinity. C19H28O2 is the formula, the compound for masculinity. And you can't change that. No matter how much you don't like it, you can't change it. It's created by the universe. Anything else would be tampering, and there's always dire consequences. Now, where does testosterone come from in males? Okay. Well, greater than 95% comes from the testes. The testes produce testosterone. The testes are a type and shadow, a representation, a design reminder of your masculinity. Now, they say that there's less than 5% of testosterone is produced in your adrenal glands. Um, Adrenaline and steroid are come from the adrenal glands. They also say that the pituitary gland in the base of the brain signals the testes to produce testosterone. So your mind, your mentality, your way of thinking tells your body to produce it. But the only way your body can do it is if your body has the right mentality about who you are. Who you are. Now that's important to understand. If you have the right mentality, your mind will function in a way and operate in a way where it will tell your pituitary gland to produce testosterone in males, according to the CDC. According to the CDC, some of the things that testosterone in males, what it produces, it produces assertiveness. They want to say it's aggressiveness. I don't like the term aggressiveness. Assertiveness. Assertiveness. It produces assertiveness. It produces hairiness. Right? It can produce high blood pressure. There's a reason for that. We're going to talk about it. It also produces a high sex drive. That's very critical for to maintain your species and to establish your legacy. And it also contributes to, according to the CDC, increased appetite. And so those are some of the things that, along with things like, it produces muscle size, and increases muscle size and increases strength. Okay, it also promotes bone growth and strength. And see, these are the things that women, females, do not have, because you do not have masculine or masculinity or the science of masculinity in you. The final part that the CDC says that testosterone gives us is a deepened voice. Some voices are more deeper than others, but that's what you'll be able to notice the difference between the voice of a man and the voice of a woman, right? And that's very, very telling, along with other things. Okay, hands, sides of hands, the Adam's apple, right? The size of feet, right? Hairiness, okay? Facial structure, okay? All these things contribute and come as a result of masculinity. And those things are imperative to you being a man, you being a male, you being a boy, and how to survive. They are very critical to your ability to survive. the science of masculinity. The science of masculinity. Now we're going to come back because I want to cut this and come back, and we're going to talk about the science of femininity. That's just as important for you to understand, gentlemen. That's just as important for you to understand, because in understanding it, you have a better appreciation for her. And ladies, maybe you'll have a better appreciation for yourselves. Just like going over and understanding, gaining a better understanding of the science of masculinity, hopefully will help promote you, gentlemen, feeling better about yourself and embracing masculinity. Because with your masculinity comes responsibilities. And those responsibilities are always, always connected with your masculine and masculinity. To insert, inject, initiate, penetrate, and to pierce. That's what masculinity does. Femininity cannot do those things. It cannot, because it's not designed to. But femininity will receive those things to becoming one. And we're going to talk about that. Because femininity, what femininity provides is it provides the ability to receive, incubate, protect, nurture, right? And provide. They need each other to becoming one. But we're going to talk more about the feminine piece in the next session. Let's see if there's anything else I want to tell you before we call it quits here. Okay. I think that's going to be it for this session. The science of masculinity. Come back for part two, the science of femininity. Till next time, peace.